Hello everybody, nice to have you here. That's lesson number 6 or video number 6 as you wish in my small Adobe Builder Basics course. And if you missed the previous 5 videos, feel free to rewatch them or check them up, because during this series of videos we build application step by step. And today is the time to use it in real life, and to be more precise, to try to integrate it into the Adobe Commerce admin. Small recap: we build the application that allows us to see the list of the users, upload the picture for the users, save and delete ones, and for sure it's run within Adobe Experience Cloud currently. But what we want to do, we want to see it within Adobe Commerce admin, so that we don't need to search for URL and we just can manage it, everything from the single point. How to do it? You need for sure to change your extension to be compatible with it. There is available Adobe Admin UI SDK for Adobe Commerce, which more or less work in a manner that you have Adobe Commerce. There is a module have to be installed. Usually it's already installed there, which fetch in the extension from registry. You activate it, and then the extension has extension points which define in the menu items, links, URLs, and so on. You can extend the admin in a manner that you can extend the customer grid elements, order grid, columns, elements, the same for products, and you can add menus. That's what we will do today, because we have a standalone application which has a known UI, and we want to add a menu that we can access it. So the first step of all this, we need to modify our code. I already prepared myself a little bit. So the first point, we have to define the new extension point. So Admin UI SDK working with extension points. And if you go into our app config YAML file, we can define here extensions. And you need to define this Commerce backend UI 1 as extension point and provide additional config YAML file. You can just put everything here. I put it as include here just to show one more option, how you can maintain your YAML configuration file in the different areas, that it's not become too big and impossible to read. And in this case, you more or less hold in the modularity of your application. And here we have xconfig YAML, which define in the operation type web with implemented index.html that will render your frontend. Actions and web, again, similar to the standard file, and then you define in the package admin UI SDK, which, in another point, define in the actions the registration. You need this action, it have to be named like this, and this registration file defined in the way or JSON configuration of your extension point. So when Adobe Commerce will fetch this registration, it's know what you want to do. And we can go into this action registration in jigs. And in our case, it's extension point for adding the new menu item. So it's defining here the menu items, and we have 2 of them, like first level, that's a first level, and that's a second level. We will name it user management. Another requirement is to have install YAML file registered for your module, which defines, so basically the structure is more or less the same, depends on the categories you want to have it here. But I would say you can just copy paste it. That's your name of your extension point, which you have in your config file. Here. Oh, don't break it. Another one you have to add is extension manifest, which defining your extension information or metadata, which is more or less name, ID, that's what is important, version, platform, display name, and description. So don't get lost. You have here ID. You have ID in your registration index here defined. That's ID of your application. And also you need to extend the React components to be able to work with Admin UI SDK. For that, you need to create here extension registration file, which also has an ID. So that's more or less standard format. You can extend it if you want to in the future, depends on the complexity of your use cases. And one very important point I had to honestly say in the beginning, you need to install this dependency, which is Adobe UX Guest module. That you not be too confused, you have everything of this here in installation steps, more or less. You can go here, then you describe how you register your module. I guess I said everything you have to know. I guess that's it from the code level. I mean, just to be sure, we can do, no, not the following. We can do the following. So we have index file or with registration, we need to find in the menu items. We have our config YAML. We have manifest I told about and install YAML. Package log, it's very boring. We have package JSON. And then we also extend in our app.js, but I will tell you why a little bit later. Sorry, let me skip it for now. And okay, no, let's skip it for now. After that's all done, you can sure deploy your application already, and then you go into your Adobe Commerce backend. One very important requirement to make it all work, you need to have Adobe EMS admin login enabled. So you need that your Adobe Commerce is so you need that your Adobe admin login, Adobe Commerce admin login, is going through Adobe EMS. If it's new for you, I'll send you to one more video I recorded some time ago. There is native Adobe Commerce module you just need to enable and configure. That's done by the reason that this module, which fetch in Adobe Builder modules, have to have an access to Adobe Builder runtime and to extension registry. And to do it, you need to be for sure in the scope of Adobe authorization system. So after we are done, we are going to your Adobe Commerce admin, and we click configure extension here. You have here the extension, eligible extensions to configuration. In this case, the module is already fetching it from the Adobe App Registry. I have here 3 modules because I tested and worked a lot in the past. It's fetching the modules from your organization. You can choose the workspace and then it will fetch different ones. And what it will do, so this, when you made a deployment, it's going through your app config, checking the extension points, checking the Commerce backend extensions, and then you see only those modules which been deployed and work with this setup. So let's say in our case, this line code is our module, that's what we developed during this course. If I switch to production environment, I will not see this module anymore because I never deployed on prod. So let's go back. At this point, we just click here, select, save. It will enable it and it will refresh registrations. And in this case, it will pull this action registration index.js file, will read what's have to be done and will do it. And after that's done, you see our module appeared here straight away. Before I'll click it, let me just quickly cover this other part. Is you have here Admin UI SDK logs. And you can enable them by here, by database login configuration. That's quite handy because if something goes wrong, you will see that there is an errors, why there is an errors, and what you can do with them. Also, you can test it locally. When you test it locally, means you don't need to have Adobe EMS enabled for your admin account. So that's making it possible to test it local environment. Really, you need to build the local server to run it. How to do it? You can find it here. Admin configuration and testing. So you can, for local testing, for PaaS only, unfortunately, so it will not work with the SaaS. There is an example how you can build and run module locally. So feel free. So nice, our module here, and it's already configured, and we can run it. So what's here happening? It's first loading our app JS6 file to load the React components, the elements. Then it's calling it's doing the API calls. Let me refresh it one more time. It's doing to API calls, for example, to list the users. And there one important point, that's why I skipped when I explained the differences or the changes I applied. If I'll go for those changes, there are 2 files I modified. First of all is app. So when the app is initialized, it's not in Adobe Cloud Shell anymore. It's in your Adobe Commerce application, which is totally another story. And this Adobe EMS module, that's why you're required to have Adobe EMS enabled in standard. has also the scope. You have EMS scope, which allow you to use the EMS token then to make a call to Adobe Builder. But to do it, you need to change your application a little bit, because, so first of all, you need to add this Adobe UIX guest. You also have to define here your extension ID. And then what you need to do, you need to fetch the credentials. And in standard, what we also made before, we stored credentials in window EMS credentials. But currently, you are not in a shell. So it means you don't have them. But if you will attach the extension, that's why we have this custom package here installed, you can get the credentials from guest connection shared context. So basically in this way, if the EMS tokens is not existed, it will try to load it from guest connection shared context. And if you're in Adobe Commerce admin area, you will have it there and it will set it up and will bypass it to the next function. And that's only way how you can get this work, because we have Adobe required auth true. So you need to have it available for you to be able to fetch the actions and to hold information from the backend. And at this point, that's it. It was quite short, I would say, because I prepared myself a little bit. For sure, it took me a bit more time, but I believe it's quite simple to build. I'll share the code on a GitHub. We'll post it in a video description. Feel free to give it a try, and also we'll post link to the documentation. And we'll see each other on the next video. I hope I'll try to add some information about how to subscribe to events in Adobe Commerce, receive them in Builder, and save them, let's say, save the user in your application. So enjoy and bye-bye.